So here we've got several rows of our brioche fabric created in 2 colours, and we're working 4 rows at a time, so there and back there and along on the front and 2 rows on the back, and each time that creates for us 2 rows of fabric. So we should always see an even number of rows of main colour rib here when we've got back to the starting point. So we know we're back at the starting point. We're looking at the facing row, and we've got our 2 tails.
That's the dog scratching.
Dog is now scratching. We've had chimney sweeps, and now we've got dogs. Never mind, the lovely Iris is still with us. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 on the needles. So that's an even number of rows. So that all makes sense. So I'm just going to show you a few things that might go wrong with your brioche. So sorting out some common issues. So we're going to start working this row. So we've slipped the first stitch. We move our yarn back. We bark, the dog bark, and we slip. We bark, and we yarn forward and we slip, and we're looking for a bark. Now can you see here I've just got a single stitch. I don't seem to have a double stitch, which is always what we're expecting with a bark, which is why it's good to getting yourself into a rhythm. Now what does quite often happen is that the shawl, the little wrapped stitch, has fallen down here, and we need to pick it up again, and it will be this top blue thread in this case, or the contrast colour. There we are. If we pick that up, we can just put it back onto the needle. There it is, happily restored to its rightful place, and now we can bark it in with the rest. So this is why it's important to keep looking and checking. Here we are. If that gets dropped down, then you can see this top one, this should be the wrap for this stitch. You can just lift it up and put it back on again. It is important to knit it in. If you don't, you actually end up with a bar across of the contrast colour, which can look quite ugly. So you will see it if you get it wrong. But that's the way to pick it up again. Okay, let's look at a major disaster here. Joe's just come up and gone, oh no, disaster! And it is, look, we've dropped a stitch. Well, instead of panicking too much, we can work out how to pick this up. So first of all, you get your little trusty safety pin stitch marker, and you stick that through the lost stitch, fasten it up, and then you can breathe a big sigh of relief, because this is now not going to go anywhere else. So you've now got time, you've secured it. Check the back, there's nothing loose at the back. So we can now work out how to fix this. So the first thing we need to do, as we would do if we were doing normal knitting, is we need to move along until get ourselves into that column so we can rework that back out again. So we're just going to pick that up and start working across and knit. So a slip and a bark, and a slip and a bark. And here we go. So this is where it's getting it wrong. So we're looking for a slip stitch next. So this is the slip stitch here. So we've got that going on. And then this bark, look, we seem to have a blue stitch here. That's the next slip stitch. And in the middle here, we're expecting to find a wrapped yellow stitch, which we would then bark. Okay, so we've got back to this point where we need to pick up this column of rib, this rib of main colour. So you can see here we've got some blue threads going across, and we've got some yellow threads going across, and we need to deal with both the blues and the reds. Yellows, sorry.
Really confusing.
Really confusing it now. So I'm going to put a crochet hook in and take out the stitch marker and keep it nice and secure. And what we're looking here, we've got the wrapped stitch going on, and we've got the thread that we're working. So that is the wrap stitch for the for this stitch below us. So this new stitch here, this is the wrap for it, and then that will be the thread that we're going to work with. So we just need to bring it out. So we're going to go under the wrap, and we're going to pick up the stitch thread, so it's the yellow in the same colour, and then we're going to bring that down underneath the wrap and through the stitch. So we've picked that one up. That's the first one we've done. We've got another one to do, so we're going to do the same again. We're going to go underneath the wrap, we're going to pick up the working thread, pull it back down underneath the wrap and through. And then what we've got left now is still a wrap stitch and the new stitch. So here is our stitch picked up, so we've still got our little column of ribs, and there is the wrap stitch that we pick up, and we're now ready to work it again. So we've done our slip, we're bringing the yarn across, and then we're going to bark that one. Just move that past, and there you are. Can you see that's beautifully picked up, and it all works at the back too. So you just need to deal with the extra thread of the wrapped stitch. Here's another common issue that happens, is where you end up with a bar across one of your ribs. So here we've got the main colour yellow rib, and we've got a blue bar across it, and this is what happens when the wrap has fallen down and hasn't been properly caught up into the bark stitch. So I'm just going to show you how to fix that. Again, you're going to need to knit across or work across until you get to the column where it's occurring. So here we are, it's in this column of yellow stitches. So we are going to have to drop this stitch back. If we drop the wrap stitch, that's not going anywhere because it's neatly contained in the previous row. If we drop this yellow stitch, it is actually going to run back, but I need to undo back to the point where this happened, and in fact it's just there. I put my crochet hook back in and try not to split that yarn, because that will be a bit messy. There we go. And so now we've got the crochet hook through the yarn. Here is the wrap that is correctly at the back, and this one we've now got to work back in. So just as we did before, if we were picking up a column of ridges, we're going to take our crochet hook underneath the wrap. That's the contrast colour. We pick up the main colour, pull it back through underneath the wrap stitch and up through, and there, can you see it's now correctly located at the back. We can put this stitch back onto our needle and add its wrap back over, and then carry on working. And there you can see we've safely got rid of the bar across.